Coach, obviously the bye week, does it come at a good time? And what's your philosophy on bye weeks? You're on a bit of a roll, but you also have some banged up players.
No, I think it does come out at a good time, and I think you bring up a good point. There's times where you start to get into a rhythm, and then you don't want that bye week. I don't know if that's the case here. We're going to practice today, tomorrow, Thursday. Really put some good 3 days of practice in and keep grinding on this thing. But it does allow us to get a few guys healthy heading into the Iowa game.
Right behind him, Clay Hall, WSYX.
Looks like you're getting a lot of love nationally, pundits, whoever. I mean, do you subscribe to that Nick Saban rat poison type of thing?
Well, I think our guys would tell you that it doesn't really matter other than winning the next game. I think the guys understand that. I don't think that any of the guys really even care about that because it doesn't matter. The only one that matters is the one at the end of the season. So, we have to keep winning, and that's all we're focused on right now, quite honestly.
Front row right, Austin Ward, Rivals, 97.1.
Ryan, what's the structure for practice this week, and outside of getting healthy, what would you like to accomplish?
Yeah, we're gonna practice today, tomorrow, Thursday, and then do our +1 like we typically do going coming off of a bye week. So, we want to, as a staff, look at what we've done, look at where we're headed, evaluate everybody in the program, and kind of see things we've done well and enhance those, but things that we need to improve on. We obviously want to get healthy, and get some guys, back out in the field. Want to get some guys who are playing with a few things, healed up, and then continue to work good on good fundamentals and technique. As you get 5-6 games into the season, you can start to get scheme oriented, and we can't do that. So we're going to dive back into fundamentals, techniques, and try to identify the things that we're going to need to get done here in the home stretch.
Right behind him, Bill Landis, Rivals.
Ryan, your punt and punt coverage have been very good this year, but I think maybe the rest of the special teams operation has been a little hit or miss. Just how are you feeling about that as a whole, especially the return game with some of the drop balls?
Yeah, we're going to do a better job fielding the ball. I think if we do that, then we feel a little bit better about all of it. But certainly we can't be doing that. We got to make sure we field the ball better. I think that's a good time right now to look at that and figure out if we have the right personnel in all groupings and certainly in special teams as well.
Right behind him, Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
When you have a chance to get Kyle McCord in the game, CJ's out and Kyle's in, how do you balance, giving him enough of the offense to see what you need to see because he might be your quarterback next year and also not want to be disrespectful to the other sideline?
Yeah, it's obviously a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong, but it is something that you want to make sure you respect the game, and but at the same time, you do want to kind of get him going a little bit, and we tried to get that third down conversion. We got him on the outside the pocket on the naked. I thought he threw a nice ball there. We had the third down where he was reading the end. I thought maybe we could have done a little bit better job just across the board, not just him. But we convert right there. Maybe we move the ball down the field. You start to get inside of 5 or 6 minutes in the fourth quarter when you're up in a lopsided game. I just kind of want to make sure I respect the game in that area. But certainly want to get him in the game, especially if it's at the end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter, and get some first downs and let him go play.
Fourth row right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman row.
Ryan, you talk about rest, recovery, trying to get guys healthy, but at the same time, there's a lot of work I'm sure you think needs to be done. When you look at the cornerback position, is this the perfect time for them to really get some work in and try to improve their game so they can do the next 6 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, when you're identifying in all three phases what needs to improve, the things we've done well, the things we need to improve on, I don't think it's any mystery that one of the things we got to do is finish some plays out at corner. We're right there. We haven't quite finished some of them. I did think Denzel played better in this game, probably his best game to date, so that was good. Didn't get the ball, thrown his way a ton, but I thought he played his best game. You can say, well, they made a nice catch, but we make some nice catches too. I mean, that's college football now. Guys are making pretty high-end catches, so we got to learn to finish. Especially one-on-one situations, because we know that's going to keep coming our way until we can prove that we can. So that'll be a huge emphasis this week.
Right next door, Cameron T. Robinson, The Athletic.
Brian, kind of off that, you talked after the game, like you said,
they're there, you just need to make plays.
Yeah.
Corner. Is it as simple as just finding the ball? I mean, Cam got that PI on a broken play,
Yeah.
really, but is it simple as just find the ball for those guys?
Yeah, I just think the more and more times we put them into those situations, the more comfortable they're going to feel, and the better they'll be. So it's our job as coaches to continually put them in those positions and give them an opportunity to learn from it and grow and get better. So that's what we're going to do.
Right next door, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Ryan, you have been speaking highly of Lathan Ransom since his freshman year. Given the 2 years that he had until now, the way he's playing now, just your thoughts as his coach on seeing that rise.
Yeah, I think you're seeing what he's capable of. He's very intelligent. He's very athletic. Has really good football IQ. You can see how much ground he covered on that first play on the touchdown, and still was able to hang on to the ball. He's got really good ball skills. So great to see him healthy. Great to see him running around. Now he's got some games under his belt. So I think you're seeing the best version of Lathan.
Front row right, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, before last week's game, you mentioned Jordan Hancock, somebody you're hopeful to get back after the bye. If he is able to come back second half of the season, what kind of impact can he have? What did you see throughout the offseason? What sort of role do you envision for him?
Well, he's we were hoping going into the season he'd be battling for a starting position. So I guess that wouldn't really change coming off of an injury, but he's got to get back on the field and prove that he's just got to start out by getting some games under his belt, and then we can kind of go from there. But we'll be better if he's in the lineup and start off by providing some depth, and then go from there.
Front row middle, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, how would you describe your offense right now? It's just so multiple. I don't think it's as simple as calling it a spread. I mean, you guys are doing some offset I formation. I think you're doing more 12 personnel than ever, 3 tight ends more than ever. Just how would you describe your offense right now?
We're trying to find different ways to attack the defense based on the guys that we have. I think when you look back 10 years ago, maybe more now, it was like the spread offense was kind of, the new thing, and that was creating a little bit of stress for the defense. And so I think maybe, defenses over time have kind of caught up to just lining up in spread sets. Actually, I know they have. And so now we're trying to find more creative ways to create new surfaces, bigger surfaces, different formations that, you're not giving them what they're working on. You're not giving them what they're practicing. And now there's a fine line there, and I think our guys, it's not easy here. We do a lot of stuff. And so guys have to be really well prepared coming in every day. It's not just we're going to run the same plays every week. We're not going to do that. But I think they enjoy that. I think they really embrace the challenge of, trying to give the defense a lot of problems. But at the end of the day, we still have our base things that we'll do that we'll line up and play. We know what our base is. We know what our identity is. But I think the guys enjoy coming in on Tuesday thinking, okay, what are the new things coming in this week? And then go putting it on the field. And it's fun. You can see the excitement of when we execute plays that we've been working on that maybe are new. You can see the excitement. They enjoy that. And I think that's a tribute to our coaches, but more importantly, our players coming in every day with the ability to go take a meeting to the field and then go put it onto the game field, because that's not easy to do. Yeah.
Right behind him, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
I know you're not going to sit here and try to cape any awards for CJ yet halfway through the year, but just halfway through his second year as a starting quarterback, what are some things you've liked, maybe some things you haven't, like just kind of evaluate what you've seen from him so far?
Yeah, I think, all right, so first 6 games, I think the first thing you notice is just his movement. I think that, you could see that in the first couple games, his movement has been improved, whether it's been, out of the pocket, doing some things that are designed or not designed, scrambling, extending plays like he had to do in the first game and a couple other games. So I think that's been good. I think his red zone play has been excellent. I think when he's had to throw the ball away, he's thrown the ball away, but he's also made some really good throws down there, which has led to us being successful in the red zone. But overall, I just think it's his leadership, his vision, his accuracy, all the above.
Right behind him, Dan Holt, 11 Warriors.
Ryan, I heard you say on the radio last week that, you guys have had a lot of injuries, and you've noticed that around the country, a lot of teams are having to play depth because of injuries. Do you think there's any reason why maybe there have been more injuries this year?
Yeah, I don't know if I have the numbers or data to back that up. I don't, but it was something that I just kind of felt, and I don't know. But But it does, challenge your depth when you're in those types of situations. And I have been proud of the guys who've had to step up, whether it's been in special teams or some different positions. Going into some games with two freshmen, corners who had never really had any experience before, or a running back position. We've had some stress at a couple positions that we've had to go play some depth, and so that's been, I think, another thing. If you're just identifying what are the things that have been positive in the first 6 games, I think we've seen some of that go on. Our depth has been challenged at different positions, and we've responded pretty well. And hopefully that can pay off here in these last 6 games of the regular season.
Fourth row left, Jacob Bench, the lantern.
Yeah, hey Ryan, just going back to CJ, you mentioned, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, he doesn't play for personal accolades, doesn't really care too much about the stats, and then he said after the game Saturday that he's dedicating the season to Dwayne Haskins. He said he writes like his cousin's name and stuff on wristbands and whatnot. Just what does it mean to you to see your quarterback play for something bigger than himself?
Yeah, I think you can see it. I think the players can see it. I think you can see his attitude on the sideline. He is not concerned about statistics. I think he understands that they're gonna happen and they're gonna come, but he's focused on one thing, and that's winning and being a leader for his teammates. And when you truly play like that and just have an open heart, and I think it carries over to your team. And naturally, his stats are really good, and naturally he's playing at a high level. But that's not what he's focused on. And I think all the guys on the team have embraced that, and certainly his leadership has been felt. They understand that there's no expectations going into a game. Yet we hold each other to a high level. We want to play and be the best team in America. So I think that's probably what you're getting at. And it's not just about him. And it never has been, by the way. I mean, it's just the way he is and the way he's wired. And I think that's a sign of a great leader.
Deep left, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Coach, I guess I'm just curious. I know the goal is to always have that pair and a spare where if somebody's not available, you don't have a drop off. You guys have had a really impressive year in not having a drop off. Have you been around another team that reminds you of the way you guys continue to just plug a hole and execute at the same level?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. But I think one of the things that happened last year was we had so many younger guys play. So when you look at our roster right now, I mean, we have some juniors and seniors, but we also have some sophomores that are very experienced, because there was quite a few freshmen who played last season, where the year before that wasn't the case. So there was some struggles last year. There was some growing pains. I mean, it wasn't easy. It was difficult at times. But I think now you're seeing some of that experience and some of the things we worked through in the growing pains last year starting to pay off, because these guys played, and there were so many first times last season. So now they're not. So when you're playing guys and putting them in the game, even though they may be sophomores or even some of the juniors, I mean, they played a lot of football. So the depth has been strong, and it comes down to leadership too. J.K. and Jair, they have to step in in Wisconsin, and they hadn't had that experience. But I think the guys around them, Ronnie Hickman and Tommy Eichenberg, and some of the guys who have played before, they put their arm around him and say, we're going to figure this thing out together. I think that's important too, and I think that's the leadership that you need when you're working through an entire season. So I think it's probably a combination of all those things.
Fourth row middle, Andy Anders, Buckeye Sports Bulletin.
Yes, Ryan. So obviously, a big narrative coming into this year was being able to run the ball when you needed to on the short yardage plays that the defense knows you're going to run the ball. You guys faced a 4th and 1 fairly early in this game while it was still a contest. And converted. What made that play successful in as much detail as you can? It looked like there might have been a check to the line. And then how did that set up the touchdown pass to Julian Fleming that immediately followed?
Yeah, I mean, you never know how things are going to go. And that was one that I guess we had the quarter change. There's a timeout. I forget exactly. But there was a long time pondering over that one, because, you go down one road. You say, okay, if we get this and we go down the field and score, it turns into a 2-score game. You don't get it. They get the ball in plus territory, and I think at the time it was 21-13. So you just kind of go back and forth in your mind, and I know how that goes. If you go for it on 4th and 1 and you get it, great call. If you don't, what are you doing? So it's all about the execution. So then the conversation became, do we feel like we have a good play that we can run against the defense that we're expecting? And we thought we did. We thought we got ourselves into the right play there, and I think it was the next play we scored the touchdown on. So, I mean, those are the swing moments of a game that you got to have. Those game altering plays, those gap plays that you got to be able to respond, and we did. And so then the whole game changes from there. At least that whole half did, and so that's something we're going to bring up in the meeting today when we talk about the game.
Right next door, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, you guys have talked about the balance at running back, and we've talked about it a lot. But when you have guys that can go off the way that they have individually, how do you work with those guys to? I know they're selfless and they don't mind giving up carries, but they also I assume want to be on the field as much as possible. How does that dynamic work with them, especially after they both have back-to-back big games?
Well, I think that it's just unique. I think we've talked about this for a while, but they understand that they need each other, and they both, I don't think, are surprised when the other one's in there that they run so well, and I think they make each other better. So I thought, Dallin came in and did a nice job when he was in there. I thought when we had an opportunity to get Xavier Johnson involved, we handed the ball to Emeka. We found different ways, too, to spread a couple carries around, which I think is good for the offense and healthy. But, yeah, when you have Mayan and Trey both in there together, that they have couple different running styles as well. So that keeps the defense on its heels. And maybe even having a couple packages where they're both in there, So once we get them healthy, that opens up a lot of doors for us.
Front row middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Ron, I know injury timetables are hard to predict anyway, and not your favorite topic, but what's your level of confidence that for the Iowa game you're going to get some of your key guys back? I mean, Mayan, Jackson, whoever else?
Yeah, I mean, going into today's meeting, going through the injury report, really for a bunch of those guys, it was, the expectations that they're going to play for the Iowa game. Now, they still have to come along and they have to have a good week and all that, but that's the goal right now is to get them, get them healthy this week and have a full week of practice next week, and those guys are ready to roll for Iowa.
And are there guys that are long-term injuries that they're just not going to be back this year?
Yeah, there are. There are some, like Mitchell Melton and Evan Pryor. Yeah, we're still hoping to get Cam Babb at some point. Probably not for the Iowa game, but we're hoping to get him back at some point this season. If there's anybody else, then we'll get with Jerry and try to figure out who's that. Yeah. Well, we still might be able to get him back yet later on. So I think that right now, yeah, that's probably the long term. And if there's any updates on that, we'll let you know. But right now, the rest of the guys we're expecting to have for the Iowa game, it'll be kind of based on how this week goes. Yeah.
Over here to the right, Tim May. Tim May Podcast, Letterman Row.
Ryan, like when Dave Biddle asked you a while ago about the diversity of this offense and stuff, and like you said about the excitement of guys coming in on Tuesday, what's new? You and your staff, do you ever also think about how much you're overloading the defensive coordinator for the next week or the next week who are watching that video? How much does that kind of come into play a little bit in a almost diabolical way?
Well, yeah, I mean, sure. No, I think the more things that we can put on film, the more ways we can attack defenses, then the more stress we put on them. And I think that's the balance of like what's too much, where you can't execute anything. What's too simple, where teams can just tee off and see, okay, this is this set, there's the back right there, and here comes this, So that's the balance you try to find. But when you have players, obviously you have the talent that our guys have, but have the football IQ to be able to take a play and put it on a field at a high level, like we saw this past week, man, that opens up a lot of options for us. And we're just blessed to have such great players, and the ability to process high levels of information. They're
intent every week to have something fresh. I mean,
oh yeah,
yeah,
more than one. Yeah.
Got time for two more. Second room, Doug Lamereese, Cleveland.com.
Trying to think how to explain this. So, you've been asked about Kyle McCord and trying to figure out how to play him at end of games a couple times.
Sure.
The backup's always one play away. It's a little more front of mind. Alabama just had to play a whole game with its backup quarterback. How much do live game reps in a blowout help a backup quarterback? How important are they in development compared to practice and everything else? And whenever we've asked you about it, you've brought up this idea of not wanting to be disrespectful at the end of games. And I think that makes a lot of sense in the non-conference, that kind of thing. Why is that front of mind for you in a conference game where, you guys theoretically are all equal? Why is that still a factor for you?
So the first part, I think, yeah, it is. I think it's good to get him in the game, get whoever in the game, whether it's the quarterback or anybody else. Just getting those game reps under your belt is different than in practice for sure. But that's just the way that I've always believed. The game should be played. I think when you're rolling and you're in the third quarter, you're beginning of the fourth quarter, go play. But when you start to get towards the end of those games and they get a little lopsided, I just think that's the way to respect the game.
Fourth row left, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
I just want to go back to the question about the cornerbacks. As you look ahead for what this next week needs to be for them, for Denzel and Cam, I guess, especially at the top of that list, do those guys need a lot more reps? Do those guys need a break? How do you sort of look at the week for them, just because that is the position that's maybe stood out?
I think that these 3 days are great days to get better, and then take a couple of days to catch their breath. But I think, we got to try to. The best way to coach is to put players in game situations. So how do we create those exact situations that have happened in the first 6 games, and then allow them the opportunity to find the ball? Simple as that. It's not really complicated, but without doing it so much that we blow their doors off. We got to make sure that we're keeping them healthy. But that's it. We just have to try to find a way to simulate the game and make it harder, make practice harder than the game, so that when they get there, they're ready to make that play.